This is Ryan from Cincy Life Community News. This topic has came up a lot of times about the gay thing, gay rights, and do gays deserve special rights to be protected in special ways in society? Anti-discrimination, do gays deserve that? I mean, I don't believe any group deserves any more or less rights than another group. I'm not protected because I'm heterosexual. Maybe implied by society I am, but no written rule that says I have to be favored or protected because of my sexual identity. I've been in places where 68% of the population were gay. That was Capitol Hill, Seattle, and I lived there for 2.5 years, and most of the people there were gay. Many of them were very kind to me, but and I had a lot of friends. I had 3 or 4 friends that were pretty good friends that were, one of them wasn't so good of a friend, just kind of a weird dude that hung around our squat when, we were homeless and we had a little squat. And then there were 3 or 4 dudes that were cool that came to our squat and sometimes stayed there. And, out of like 60 different people that were in and out of this place, it was kind of a crazy house. But, I made friends with some really cool people there. But, when it comes to special rights, I think that it hurts society, and I'm going to play you something from Thomas Sowell about this, but I just wanted to give you 2 perspectives of this. This actually originally came from an article recently that was posted on March 2nd, yesterday, A Person Same as You. I'm a 23-year-old university student, a Latter-day Saint, and a lesbian. I consider myself extremely lucky to live in Salt Lake, where I'm protected by the city's anti-discrimination ordinance for housing and employment. I'm fortunate to attend a university and work for a company that accepts my orientation. But what if I move to Orem or Layton? Without a statewide ban on discrimination against gays, I will be effectively forced back into the closet for fear that my new employer or landlord won't be as accepting. I'm not asking people to accept my orientation or to validate my relationships. I'm not petitioning for Utah to lift its ban on same-sex marriage. I hope they do, or I hope that day will come. I simply want to be protected from losing my job or my home while keeping my authenticity. There are many people like me, maybe your son or your daughter, maybe your best friend or neighbor, maybe the quiet woman in your ward who sits by herself, or maybe even your employer or your tenant. I am the same as you. It's time that I am treated the same, with that same respect. I agree with treating somebody with the same respect, absolutely, and that is totally a reasonable request. But I don't think we should legislate it like this is talking about in this. In what the Salt Lake Chamber is calling for, they're calling for a statewide anti-discrimination law. They say it's good for business. I really don't think that their city is going to represent every city equally. I think that this is a localized issue, like the second person here says. Let's see, we need to have it on a statewide basis, says the Chamber of Commerce President Lane Betty, Thursday. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see, State President Michael Waddups, Republican of Taylor, sees it differently. That's a great argument. I completely disagree, he said. I think it's a local issue. I think each community should implement what's best for their community. On an issue like this, I think that mandating that La Verre can have similar ordinance to Salt Lake when their community values may be diametrically opposite, I think that's further than we ought to be. I honestly disagree. I think the free market should decide, and I want to illustrate why with what Thomas Sowell says. But the mandating of different laws to protect people sometimes has blowback and works against the people, and I just want to illustrate how that is. It would be blowback on the businesses who may not want to have a certain stereotypical gay type of person representing them, but it also may work adversarially to the person who is gay wanting to gain employment, because if a law is passed and the business is held legally accountable for hiring or firing or whatever a certain persuasion of people, then they may be cautious to hire those people to begin with. They may avoid hiring those kind of people who are gay or who are whatever, whatever persuasion, because there might be a lawsuit, because it would be harder for their business to survive a lawsuit than it would be to just hire the person to begin with. So listen to Thomas Sowell on affirmative action.
But you very seldom find that kind of change that quickly. So it depends on what you're holding as your standard.
The standard is that blacks haven't caught up with whites.
With whites haven't stood still.
You make another point in terms of intra-black relations, and that is, you say, affirmative action, for the most part, has really benefited blacks who really didn't need affirmative action.
Oh, affirmative action is a great way for black PhDs to get endowed chairs. It's a terrible way for some kid in the South Bronx to try to get his first job. What affirmative action does is create an incentive for people to hire those who have a proven track record, those who have degrees and things like that. It makes it more dangerous for the employer to hire an untrained person with no track record, because if he has to fire that person, then he's letting himself in for legal trouble. Whereas you can hire a white of very doubtful qualifications, and he doesn't work out, throw him out in the street the next week. You hire blacks of doubtful qualifications, throw them out in the street the next week, and you've got the NAACP, you've got the EEOC, you've got God knows who all to contend with. The employers have long ago figured this one out, and so they have not hired those blacks who are at all doubtful, either in terms of qualifications or simply not enough experience to know how good they are.
See, and that's the point, is, it could just turn out to be an all-out rejection of hiring gay people to avoid the lawsuits and to avoid the problems and the blowback to come from that. So I think that gay people would, be better serving to themselves to promote a free market and then illustrate how Salt Lake City is better than other cities, for whatever reason, and it may attract more money. I can name at least 5 reasons to hire a gay person, just stereotypical type of gay person, a professional, a person who, has a good image, and this represents a lot of the gay population, but there's a lot of reasons to hire a gay person. First of all, there's a new market to reach for people who are in that kind of a business, like retail or something. Marketing to the gay population can be something of profit and of a niche market, and so certainly there's a reason there. Some gay people do not have children, obviously for their orientation sake, don't mate with the opposite sex, so they don't have children. People without children can work longer hours and dedicate more to their job. A lot of times gay men, and even gay women, I don't know if it's stereotypical of gay women, but gay men seem to be more organized. So, there's a lot of different reasons why you would want to hire a gay person, but you don't want to force the matter. You don't want to make legal trouble in the matter. You don't want to put the government in control of one more personal decision in our lives. I think the more the government is interfering in our personal decisions, the worse it is for us. I just wanted to show you something really quick. On this other profile of mine, let's see. I was posting about this recently. It's a topic that's came up a lot in my life. I mean, certainly when I was a kid, I was a little hostile towards the gay lifestyle. I didn't really, want it in my lifestyle, but I was also, I also made fun of it. I made a big joke out of it by, pretending to be gay and, and just making fun of people who are gay. I never really bashed anybody or intended to hurt anybody, but, it wasn't my thing, and I thought it was kind of funny, and, in some ways I still do. I don't get it, but I don't have any reason to hate it or to reject people who are gay. If they're good employees, I would hire them in a minute. I can think of 10 people off the top of my head, very qualified people, very professional people, very gay people. There was a Christian minister, his name was Chris Magnuson at New Horizons Ministries, who, listened to me bawl and whine and be a baby when I was on the streets, and he was a counselor at this New Horizons when I was a homeless kid for about 2.5 years. Listened to me bawl and bitch and whine and moan and was there for me, was very caring for me, and he turned out to be a gay guy. I really appreciate the guy, and I think he's very much out in the open. I don't think I'm saying anything new that anybody else doesn't know. Anyway, let me talk about that God topic. This is something I posted. This was on February 18th. Today it's March 3rd. But anyway, it says here, and this is what I wrote in response to a meme. This is something that somebody else posted. It says, "Oh, God hates gays, huh? Maybe you could forward that memo he sent you." And I wrote a long-winded response, so bear with me if you don't want to listen any longer. This is going to be long-winded, so cut off now and save your time, save your patience. Anyway, it says, first, we have to establish what God is. Is God the invisible being in the sky that looks after everyone and controls everything? Is God the figure spoke about in the Old Testament by Moses? Is God the figure spoke about by Jesus? Is God the figure spoke about in the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, or any number of other ancient religious books? For me, I take all of those books that I read, and I take the commonality of those books, what the ancient people thought about God, and the modern interpretations, mix it all up with science on the subject. What I come out with is this: God is love, and His love is His own. I believe that we cannot define His love with our limited human understanding. In some cases, His love seems like hate, but it may very well be just stern guidance, kind of like swatting your kids when they do something bad. You don't want to hate, or you don't hate them. You don't want them to grow up to be, you don't hate them. You want them to grow up to be all they can be. I think God looks at homosexuality like He would look at any other human behavior. He may or may not agree, but He is looking at it from the loving point of view. I don't know for sure, that God gives us challenges in life, and God challenges also, and God gives us challenges in life, and challenges also present themselves to us randomly. I don't think God is in control of all of those things. I think that those things happen, because of probably something He's put into place, but not because necessarily He said do that. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, I'm just musing. We must choose with our free agency what will be the best path, and if we are smart enough to let God guide us through the obstacles with that still small voice. In the Bible, Solomon had thousands of women, either wives or concubines. I can't imagine God smiling upon that orgy and frowning on homosexuality. Yet Solomon was favored by God. This tells me God really isn't all that concerned with someone's sexual choices, but I do not think He approves of homosexuality. But again, I don't know for sure. The memo I got was in the form of the Bible, and it explicitly speaks out against homosexuality. The Bible really doesn't spend a lot of time on that subject. I think insecure religious folks blow up minor personal decisions beyond what it should be, thus making a counterculture of people to oppose. Must be partly political as to the reason that religious folks make such a big deal out of people's personal decisions. Personally, I don't care if you are gay or straight. I love you because of you. And that's the point. I'm going to hire somebody based on who they are. Now, if their gayness is getting in the way of me hiring them, if they're just way too, flamboyant, way too gay, I don't want that as my business image. Why would I? And, that's not what I sell. I'm not marketing that kind of flamboyancy. That's not something I would be into. But it's the gay flamboyancy. Kimmy, my wife, went to school with a kid who was like the top wrestler. He's a big old dude. He was on the wrestling team. And he ended up being really gay. I mean, super gay. And it was like a change. He was doing one thing for his parents and, keep up appearances, at one point in his life. And then later turned out to be very feminine and totally opposite of how he acted in high school in a lot of ways. Nobody expected it. And I've seen that too, passively. I mean, I haven't known anybody really close that was like that, but I've seen that, in life, and people who they are, now, and then, hearing about who they were earlier in life. And, but what if somebody was to be hired who wasn't all that flamboyant, and presented themselves, oh, hey, I'm this guy or whatever, I'm really good at what I do. You get him in your retail shop and he's interfacing with your customers and he becomes super gay. Super flamboyant. See, you can't fire him over that, even though that's not what you want, representing your business at the front counter. That's not something that you can regulate either. You can't say, hey, don't be so gay, because that's discrimination. If you fire him, that's discrimination. So, at some point, the employers are going to have to decide, is it worth hiring this person and risking, some sort of lawsuit, or do I just not hire them at all? I would like the ability to feel comfortable hiring somebody who is gay or any other, creed or persuasion, based on their qualifications and how well they'll represent my business. But I don't want to be forced to keep them or forced to tiptoe around the gay issue. If the gay issue is a major issue for them, and if they're superly flamboyant, superly openly gay, that may be some sort of issue in the workplace. It may cause some sort of distraction. It may cause some sort of, appearance that may not be suitable for the business that is in question. I don't know. There's just a lot of factors here, and I think this could work against gay people to force mandates of you have to hire and keep gay people. You can't discriminate against them because of their gayness or because of their persuasion. I just think that's the wrong way to do it. I think that's going to deter business, it's going to deter hiring, and it's going to work against a lot of people. Not just the gays, not just the employers, but everybody. I really think it would be detrimental to get the government involved in another personal decision of people. And I don't know why the Salt Lake City Council is so worried about it, about other counties and about other areas. Salt Lake City ought to just show how awesome their laws or their community is, demonstrate their community, and maybe other people will follow suit. That's the free market, and that's what I believe in.